The Electoral Commission, EC, on Monday described as false allegations by former President John Dramani Mahama that it, EC, thumbprinted 1 million ballots in favor of President Akufo-Addo. The commission has therefore called on former President Mahama to provide evidence to support his claim. EC Deputy Chairman in charge of Corporate Services, Dr. Bossman Eric Asari, at the Commission's Let the Citizen Know series in Accra, called on the Ghana Police Service to investigate the allegation because it undermines the credibility of the electoral process and must not be ignored. Quote, "The transparency of our process makes it totally impossible for this to happen." At the polling stations prior to the start of the elections, the empty ballot boxes are opened and displayed in the presence of everyone, and thereafter they are sealed. Quote, "There are serial numbers on the ballot papers for each region and constituency. This is made known to the agents before the elections," he explained. The effective date for the ban of the operations of motorized tricycles, popularly known as aboboya, on highways and major roads in the Greater Accra region has been moved from November 1st this year to February 1st next year. This is to make room for more engagement, education, and sensitization to ensure the successful implementation of the directive. The Greater Accra Regional Minister, Mr. Henry Quartey, in his address at the launch of the Operation Clean Your Frontage in Accra last Friday, had fixed the starting date for tricycles to stop using major roads from November 1st this year, while the ban from using the Accra-Tema motorway was to start immediately. However, within 72 hours of announcing the date, the regional minister at a press conference in Accra yesterday said, quote, "Effective November 1st, 2021, no motorized tricycles should ply the motorway. However, in line with the intended exercise, all motorized tricycles should keep away from all major highways and principal streets and restrict their operations to community riding by February 1st, 2021, he said. The Medina NP, Francis Xavier Sosu, says he expects police officers who manhandled him during a demonstration by his constituents over bad roads to answer questions before Parliament's Privileges Committee. He intends to ensure that they are held for contempt of Parliament. The MP led residents within the La Nkwantangang Medina municipality to protest over poor road network in the area. Quote, "I have served a petition on the Speaker of Parliament dragging the Divisional Operations Commander as well as the Divisional Commander of Adenta so that they will come to Parliament to meet the Privileges Committee. I am not going to leave it as it is. In a democracy, I think that we may have to enforce the law as it must be," Mr. Sosu said. "I was on parliamentary duties when I was leading my constituents, and not only was I doing that, I actually served the police notice that right after the event, I was going to go to a leadership meeting in Parliament. So they knew exactly where I was going, and they wanted to interfere with that," Mr. Sosu explained. Deputy Minister of Energy Andrews Ejapa-Mercer has indicated that the government is willing to consider removing some taxes on petroleum products based on some conditions. He added that, quote, "Discussions are currently ongoing between the Finance Ministry and Energy Ministry on proposals from some civil society groups over some of the levies. That includes the boast margin." The Deputy Minister added, quote, "Government is also looking at the option of even introducing some fresh programs aimed at cushioning Ghanaians if fuel prices should go up further." Mr. Mercer, however, noted that removing these taxes could come with some challenges when it comes to funding some social interventions. He added that even though the government is committed to cushioning Ghanaians, this will come with some shocks for some sectors of the economy. The Deputy Minister's assurance follows calls by some civil society groups that have argued that one of the surest ways to cushion consumers in these times is to remove some taxes on petroleum products. Mr. Archiesi, the chief executive of the Ghana Interbank Payment and Settlement System, a subsidiary of the Bank of Ghana, is urging businesses and individuals to desist from withdrawing huge sums of money from the bank and rather liaise with their financial institutions or mobile money operators to raise their threshold to allow them to make big-ticket transfers. According to him, this will help reduce the number of robbery attacks on persons who make big cash withdrawals from financial institutions. The GIP's chief executive said individuals and businesses must also play their part to reduce the risk of being attacked. As a result of past and recent robbery attacks on persons and institutions with huge sums of cash, various stakeholders, including the Ghana Police Service, the Ghana Association of Bankers, and the Bank of Ghana, have been working together to ensure the movement of money by banks, individuals, and institutions is done safely. The World Bank has pledged its commitment to a comprehensive debt solution for countries with high debt vulnerabilities that do not have the financial resources to respond to the COVID-19 crisis. According to its country director, Pierre Laporte, the comprehensive debt solutions will involve 4 elements: debt suspension, debt reduction, debt resolution, and debt transparency. Mr. Laporte said many low- and middle-income countries were in vulnerable positions prior to the COVID-19 pandemic, with slow economic growth as well as elevated levels of public and external debt. Meanwhile, the World Bank has committed a total of $435.8 million to support Ghana's government's COVID-19 health response along 5 strategic pillars. They include stop importation of COVID-19 cases and limit the impact of the virus on social and economic life. Defiant protesters remained on the streets of Sudan after the country's armed forces launched a military coup. Chanting and waving flags, they have blocked roads in the capital Khartoum and around the country following the takeover. On Monday, coup leader General Abdel Fattah Burhan dissolved civilian rule, arrested political leaders, and called a state of emergency. Soldiers opened fire on crowds and killed 10 people. The coup has drawn global condemnation. Diplomats told AFP news agency the UN Secretary Council is due to meet on Tuesday to discuss the crisis. General Abdel Fattah Burhan sought to justify the takeover by blaming political infighting. Troops are reported to have been going house to house in Khartoum, arresting local protest organizers. The White House has outlined new rules for foreign travelers to the U.S. as flight restrictions lift for the first time since the pandemic began in 2020. The plan to reopen the U.S. border next month to foreign flights includes a requirement that almost all foreign visitors be vaccinated against COVID. The U.S. travel ban has grown to include dozens of countries, including the UK, much of Europe, China, and India. The travel industry has been asking for U.S. President Joe Biden to lift the ban. Originally imposed by Donald Trump, the ban on flights from most foreign countries was extended when Mr. Biden took power in January 2021. The rule bans most visitors from Brazil, China, South Africa, the UK, the 26 Schengen countries in Europe, Ireland, India, and Iran. The African Union, AU, plans to buy up to 110 million doses of COVID-19 vaccine from Moderna Incorporated. Moderna is prepared to deliver the first 15 doses to Africa later this year as part of an agreement facilitated by the White House. An additional 35 million doses will be delivered in the first quarter of 2022 and up to 60 million doses in the second quarter. All doses are offered at Moderna's lowest tiered price. The company is also working on plans to allow it to fill doses of its COVID-19 vaccine in Africa as early as 2023, in parallel to building an mRNA vaccine manufacturing facility in Africa. The new deal would be in addition to Moderna's agreement with COVAX to supply up to 500 milligram doses of its COVID-19 vaccine from the fourth quarter of 2021 through 2022. The Moderna vaccine is currently being administered in Nigeria, Ethiopia, Tunisia, Kenya, Ghana, Rwanda, Mali, and the Democratic Republic of Congo. Only 5% of Africa's population is fully vaccinated against COVID-19. The Confederation of African Football, CAF, has increased the number of players each country can present at the next year's Africa Cup of Nations in Cameroon from 23 players to 28. The move is to allow participating teams have larger squad of players to cater for the event of some players testing positive for COVID-19 during the tournament. This means Black Stars head coach Milivoje Rojevic can select an additional 5 players for the competition, giving room for more players to get a chance to represent the country at the biennial tournament. The decision was contained in a letter signed by Samson Adamu, Director of Competition at the continent's football governing body, and sent to member associations on Sunday, October 24, 2021. The 33rd edition of the African Cup of Nations Cameroon 2021 will be staged from Sunday, January 9th to Sunday, February 6, 2022. Dismissed Black Stars coach Mr. Charles Kwablan Akono and his assistant, Mr. David Duncan, are still in a dilemma over when they would receive their 10 months outstanding salaries weeks after being relieved of their positions. According to investigations by Graphic Sports, coaches Akono and Duncan have not been paid their $25,000 and $10,000 each monthly wages since January this year, until their appointments were terminated last month. The $250,000 and $100,000 unpaid salaries for Akono and Duncan, respectively, are besides the severe packages they are entitled to following the unlawful termination of their contracts prior to their expiration in February next year. Hip-life musician Justice Amwa, popularly known as Pantapa, has lamented frequent use of unpleasant words by his fellow artists in the country to describe him. He revealed that the high level of mockery from other colleagues in the music industry has affected the growth of his brand and affected his career negatively. The one-corner hitmaker explained that unlike other popular musicians, he has been mostly treated badly in the entertainment circle. According to him, people should accord him some level of respect and refrain from always painting him black. Patapar recently launched an attack on Sarkodie and his wife for what he has described as a damage to his brand by the rapper and other musicians. But this did not go well with many industry players. Patapar has insisted that he will not apologize to Sarkodie until the latter renders an unequivocal apology to him. The Accra High Court will on December 1st, 2021, decide whether or not Rosamond Alade Brown, aka ACCRA Pimpolo, will serve the 90-day jail term handed to her by the Accra Circuit Court in April 16th this year. The Criminal Division of the Accra High Court, presided over by Justice Ruby Aite, which is hearing an appeal brought before it by the actress, fixed December 1st, 2021 as the date to deliver its judgment when the case was called Monday, October 25th, 2021. The judge said all parties in the case had filed their respective arguments and therefore will deliver its judgment on the slated date. On April 16, 2021, an Accra Circuit Court, presided over by Ms. Christina Khan, sentenced ACCRA Pimpolo to 90 days imprisonment for publishing her nude pictures in which she was standing beside her son on social media.